It's 11 o'clock and the house is quiet, and I am going to paint. Today we have a croissant. If you are following me on Instagram, I put that in my stories, the reference picture that is. And it's not, it's complicated if you want to make it complicated, but I'm not going to make it complicated. I'm just going to do it. And today I don't want to spend too much time. I mean, I wish I could say I will not spend too much time, but I never know. So we'll give it a go and we'll try and keep it. I'll try and keep it. I'm saying we as if everyone's doing this, but I will try to finish this in 15 minutes. Let's see. Okay. All right. Flipping the camera. Okay. Let me just. Okay. I have a creaky phone stand and it's going to make a little noise. So, pardon the noise. As you might all know, creaky ones are the ones that serve you best. So I'm going to zoom in on my work. I can see a little bit of a shadow. That's too close. Yeah, this is better. Yeah, that's better. I'll just put in the light in such a way that it is not obstructing. Why do I have this light? Yes. Okay. And so I'm just going to talk about the reference photo. It's there's not enough space to have it all here, but let me just show it to you. That's our croissant. And let's see. I've kept a few pencil colors ready, watercolor pencils rather, ready. But let me just test them all and make sure they are the ones that I need for this picture. Yeah. I will test on a piece of paper, which is going to be scrap paper. And I'm going to keep my fine brushes handy. A 0 definitely, and maybe a 4. I'm not sure if it's 4. Maybe 2. 2 would be better, probably. Anyway, I'll keep it all here. Next thing is trying out these colors. I think looking at the colors that I have on in the croissant, the lightest would be a yellow. So definitely this yellow color. Surprisingly, there aren't any color markings on this. Today I'm using a Faber-Castell set, which is old, like I mentioned yesterday, but this is the 48 color set, if you can see it here. It's 48 colors, and I hope it doesn't disintegrate as much as yesterday's 24 color set. It's you can make out it's old because it's yeah, it's got these, some sort of roughness on the body, which I had to kind of clean off with a cloth. Anyway, as long as the pencil works, we are good to go. So I have a yellowish, yellow ochre kind of a color, quite a nice color. Definitely my lighter tones are going to be yellowish. Then there is a proper yellow ochre, which is right here. Okay, so these colors seem to be a little better, a little sturdier than yesterday, but who knows. That's an orange, which is yeah, an orange. Now this looks reddish to me, but it's reddish orange. If you look at the other red colors, you will realize it's more orange than red. I will start going into the browns. So there is a light brown. Yeah, there's a lighter brown. Then a darker brown, which is probably like our burnt umber sort of a shade. Yeah. And finally, there is a really dark brown, which I really have used a lot. Yeah, tending to black. And then, of course, black, which is super vibrant. So I've got to be a little careful using the black, not to be too generous with it. Okay, so these are the colors I have. These are the colors I try to use, unless we need some other colors. And I'll keep them here. While I like to sketch the outline with a pencil, since we're learning here, I'm thinking we could just sketch directly in watercolor pencils. Why bother with the separate pencil sketch? So somewhere here, I'm going to start off with the tip of our croissant. So if I were to shape it very loosely, it's going to be a slightly diamond shaped, is what I want to say. Something that's a little diamond shaped, something like this. Okay, so this is just a sense. Now I can start putting in all the details. So somewhere in the middle over here we have an arch, a nice big arch. Okay, and a bulge. So each part of this croissant is bulging out a bit, and we need to really capture that bulge nicely. Narrow on this side, wider on that side, and also a bit rounded, not U, rounded. Then a bulge over here. Okay, and then one out here. Here it starts to twist downward a little bit. This part becomes, its own thing. Okay, then we have the top. Let me just think through this. So it comes up and slants a bit, curves, and then slants a bit this way too. Then comes the next part, which also starts slanting. So here I'm not able to pull out too much of the curve. See? Yeah, that's better. The last part is a little tip over here, goes out and comes in shapely. Yeah. Now let me think. What's next? Now, before I color in with whatever shades I want to color in, I'm just going to mark out with maybe a little orangish color, probably some white spots in my glazed or what looks shiny croissant. So I'm going to just mark these little bits. The reason I'm marking it out is because if I don't mark it out, I will just go over them and then we will lose the shine that we hope to catch. Okay, so just place these white spots in here. I've changed to orange because this portion is slightly orange, this part. The top is a little more, yellow, so maybe I could just put in a little bit of yellow over here. And I think this orange is going to darken as we go along. There's a little bit of orange here and definitely a white wedge. Maintaining that white, the paper white, is a little bit important. I say a little bit, but really it is important. So let's put in a little bit of yellow. Now with a pencil, it's actually quite easy to show those lines. There are lines, right? So it's quite easy to show those lines. The flaky nature of the croissant, that is. Okay, all the white spots. It's a lot easier when I'm using a brush, I find, because this is like double the effort. I mean, that's how it seems like to me. Like there's really a lot of effort to keep the white, whereas with the brush it was just a lot easier. So that's my feeling. Maybe everyone doesn't feel that way. Putting in that white over here too. There's a little bit of white here, a little bit, a small sliver. Same here too. And then I can just put in the color we need, which is, it is darker on the curves of the croissant, so you can darken these curves a little bit, both ends. In fact, when I'm darkening it here, I'm almost tempted to add a little bit of that red, because I see a little bit of that here. Okay, I also see like lines of red here and there, so let me just put in some red here. This is the reddish orange I was talking about, which is I'll call it red because we don't have any other red, so I'll call it red. But I do see that this croissant is a dark, deep croissant, as if it's baked quite a bit. Okay, orange. So we've got a line here. We want to get it's 3 down. A little bit of yellow, just a little bit, and then yellow ochre, and then the orange. Followed by a little bit of red. I'll put a little bit of orange here too. So by the time it comes to this portion, there's no more shine, it's just these lines. There are lots of lines over here. So I'm going to just put this orange in, but the lines are a bit darker. And maybe these lines need to come in later, so I'm not going to put too much of this dark color. Just let me darken it this way. Yeah, we'll come back in. I think we'll need to come back in. That's what my gut tells me. Let's see. No, not this color. I still need the yellow. A little bit at the start, followed by orange. Followed by the reddish color, which is basically rings. The rings here. Darkening. I will darken the brown as well. I don't need any more yellow now because I think most of it is dark orange. Maybe a little bit of yellow here. Taking care of that white space. I think I've already covered it up with something. And as we go down, it becomes less orange, more brown. And let's get the browns in, because the browns are really coming in here. The browns are nice to mark off this portion, you know, this portion that is very clearly the end of the layer. So same here. Okay, let's see what happens. Now here there is some sort of a what shall I say, shape at the end, where there's a little bit of brown on this side, just a few highlights, shades, shadows, I don't know what exactly to call it. Yeah, there, a little bit. Alright, let's get painting. Using my 2 or 4, let's use 2. Gently going over this. I'm making sure I don't cover that white. It's already hard keeping that white. Okay, alright, getting on the lighter color here, the lighter shade, followed by the orangey shade. So this part really needs to come out a little more shapely. I'm taking care of my glitter, shine. Alright, off we go. Trying to make these marks stay. If they stay, well and good. If not, we'll have to come back after it's dried. I've seen a lot of pencil watercolor pencil artists use a water brush. Yeah, water brush. And I have several water brushes, but I'm a little worried because I feel like I don't have as much control with the water in a water brush as much as I have with a normal paintbrush, which I am dipping in water. It could be a misconception, or rather something that you can master without too much effort, like, or master as you do it. But for now, I'm just being safe and using my regular watercolor brushes. All right. So somehow I've managed to keep a little bit of that shine on the croissant. On to the last part, which is this tail end. Okay. Now for the details. We can start with the topmost layer, where I will now start with a little bit of brown. And I want to put in, maybe not brown, maybe red, because I see more red. Okay, so let's try a little bit of red at this point. And the demarcation between the two is visible. Yeah. Then there is an increase in that red over here, so I'm going to just push it a bit. Increase in the red marking, and I will start to introduce brown. Most objects that curve will have a mild darkness along that curvature. So that is something that you can really watch out for. Some more red. Yes, definitely. Over here, at the edge here, and a straight line at the bottom. Definitely a lot more red here. Yeah, this isn't light orange, this is all quite deep orange. And into this deep orange, I will add a little bit of that brown that I was talking about. It is getting darker, as if the bread is, the croissant is getting baked a little more at these places. So just a wee bit. Yeah, correct. Now while I'm doing that, I'd like to put in a few lines. Okay, on to the next. The next one, okay, before we go on to the next, there's a little bit of darkness here which even this brown is not able to give me. So I'll deepen that with this kind of a brown. There, see? Now on to this portion. Now here there is a little elevation. Imagine the croissant is elevated a little bit here. Also another curve here. And the lines are very evident. So I'm going to just press in, make a few lines. Add a little bit of a shape here, just to make it look more realistic. And brown, definitely brown. So I'm going to be a little darker now with the brown. Apply it a little generously here. Also this portion, it's getting quite dark. And this portion, So I'll bring in the other dark brown. There's the other dark brown here. And let's bake this portion. See? So when I say bake, I give it that burnt look. And there's a bit of a burnt look here. Okay. Yeah. Darkening some things here. So a little bit of that reddish color needs to go higher. Like I said, there's not enough of yellow here. Only this portion is yellow. So all of this should actually be a nice dark orange or red. Then we come down. Now here we are starting to lose that yellow color. It's getting to be almost entirely orange. We can darken that and bring in the brown, the light brown first maybe. Yeah, then the light brown. Let's bring in the light brown here at the corners. I've lost my whites on the edges and it's a shame. Could have avoided that. But now that it is gone, there is very little I can do. If the white really bothers you and you really want to bring it back, we can of course use white mixed media, basically some other superimposed white, like poster color, gouache, something like that. On to my last, which is entirely red. There is no more yellow, so I'm going to go back in here and make this all red. We don't need any yellow here. It's all red, and there is a lot of brown, so I'm going to bring that in. Maybe the light brown first. Let's try. Yeah, the lighter brown first. The lighter brown allows me to put in this shade, which the red hasn't got. Yeah, it's my light brown. A patch of it here, so you'll see these patches on the lower part of your croissant. Even here, see a few patches where you see a little bit of darker color. Okay, going in with the darker one, which is now here. Any burning here? Yes, a little bit of burning here. Getting there. Finally, how many minutes are we at? We are at, oh, we're at 30 minutes already. Oof, how time flies. Okay, last part. Let's get to the last part. The last part is here. Little darkness here. And some shape here, which we need to just show. And then this part over here seems to have lines. A little more red. And definitely a little more brown. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of my paint and let's get these. bits behaving. I'm gonna see if these lines make any difference, as in painting in a line structure or in a line form. Does it make a difference? I'm not sure. Hard to tell. Okay. What's left? What's left is a shadow, for which I'm using the black. No, I'd like to use this darker color. And the shadow is going to come out from here, roughly a bit like the shape of the croissant. Okay, comes out, obviously extending outwards. And from here it starts somewhere here, narrow, slightly narrow on this side. Yeah, something like this. What I will do is apply very gently at this point. The outer part of the shadow, and as it gets closer to the croissant, I will get a wee bit darker, just a wee bit, not too much, just a wee bit. Because this is watercolor paper, the texture, the texture is so visible with the pencil, and it's a dry application, so visible. Just look at the texture of the paper showing through. And that's what you expect when you do a pencil color, a normal pencil color. You expect to see this. Now what I'll do is I'll just darken this portion just a bit around. It'll just define my croissant a little bit. See? Just the outline. Okay, that's it. And then I take my brush and just gently I didn't clean my brush, so you can see that yellow, which we did not want. Well, so the brown definitely has a little of a yellowish tint. Isn't that the right use of tint? Yes, I think so. A brownish tint. So if I'd used the black, I would have got that grayish shade, which instead of which I have got a brownish shade. Not sure if that's nice, but we can probably go in with a little bit of black. Let me see what happens. If I put in that black, does it dissolve? Or should I wait for the entire thing to dry? I'm not very happy with the shade. What I'm going to do is apply a little bit of black over here, concentrated black, wet it, and wish me luck. Oh, oh dear. Now it's become really dark. All right. Okay, now it's really dark. And I'm not going to do anything more till something is moved. Let me get a little creative with the brown. Oh, this is black, sorry. With the brown. And now I'm going to use my, I told you, when I say I will do this in 15-20 minutes, it can't be 15-20 minutes because there's so much of detail to put in, and how can we walk away from all that detail? How can we? We can't. It's not possible. See? Just look at that. You can add the details you wanted. Look at that. Okay. A little bit of color here. Are you able to even see it? I'm not even sure. It's looking like yeah, I need to really go in with this black. And then I'm going to see that little bit. And some over here because this is where our darkest shades are. Split here. This is definitely dark here. Okay. Yeah, not my best. I'm not sure it looks nice. Let it dry and I will know. I somehow feel that the black shadow hasn't worked out very well. You know? Now my paper is wet and that's why this black is starting to look really bright. See? See that black waking up? Okay, personally I think it's just gone too, something's not right with the shadow. Maybe I should not have used that brown. I should have gone in with the black directly. Maybe. Or maybe another color entirely, like a blue. Whichever way. Maybe once this dries it'll look a little better. And I hope it does because then it'd be nice. That's it. So this is, like I said, if you don't call it a stop, I can sit here another half an hour and I'm gonna just stop. I'm gonna call this day 4. Long pen. Day 4 of 30. And that's it, folks. I'll see you with another one tomorrow. Bye.